like those slowed down versions when they're showing car crashes in the background.
Welcome to amorephillyunion, where 2 out of 3 of us are eating our words from last week. We are your hosts. I'm E.
I'm C.
I'm Paul, and there's plenty of room on this bandwagon, baby. Hop aboard. Choo choo.
All right. Wait, I take exception because we didn't say that they were going to lose.
No. But Paul stormed in with nothing but positive,
uncharacteristic cheerfulness.
Yeah, and optimism and like
positivity, not necessarily cheerfulness.
All right, yeah, I guess maybe that would be.
I'm surprised you just didn't go with like, I was just stating the truth. It was without passion or prejudice. I'm just saying we're going to steamroll Orlando, and you guys just didn't get on the bandwagon. So,
I mean, okay, fair enough.
Chug it.
Choo.
Sometimes I feel like maybe Paul waits till the end so he can just do the opposite of whatever we say.
Well, that is one of the benefits of being the annoying little brother. I get to do that sort of stuff.
Oh,
so we just like playing Dawn of a Day of Aquarius on repeat all weekend after the game. The new era has begun.
No. It's like we said last week. It's going to take 5+ weeks to get a feel for what this team's really going to be doing.
Yeah.
So any preseason predictions about this team are shots way in the dark.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. But that said,
yeah, let's
we're not mad at it. How about that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even though they did give up the first goal for very early.
Yeah. Let's get into the game. Philly.
Luckily, Orlando gave up a worse one, but we'll get there.
Yeah, there was. I think our catchphrase from last week was "Okay, new season, don't be boring," and I think this game delivered on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
start with the lineup.
Let's start with the lineup.
Let's do that.
Because
there was a lot of new faces. We should go over that.
Yeah, we definitely have a lot of new faces.
But can we start with the one really old? Well, not really old, but the one hitting a milestone. The one face hitting a milestone.
Yeah, who wants to take that one?
Andre Blake, 300 starts for the Union.
Starts.
Amazing. What, third person in Union history to hit that behind Bedoya and Gaddis, I think.
Yep.
Wow.
And God
bless.
I'm going to talk more about him later, but he did not look like a guy who's been playing in this league for that long. And, obviously keepers can play a very, very long time compared to other field positions. But man, Andre pulled some tricks out of the bag for number 300. And it was very solid performance by an amazing goalkeeper.
Yeah. I mean, I think every season that goes by, it's just how lucky we are to have Andre Blake on our team. But seriously, I mean, we'll get into it. But yeah, it
was funny because my mom and I got together, Scoops, as she is known here, got together earlier that day, and we were walking around this antique place, just loudly discussing the Union and Blake, and she's like, I don't know how much longer he can go. He needs to stay healthy.
He does.
Well,
she's just walking around spouting this in the middle of this whole thing.
This market.
Yeah. So, but I'm sure she was pleased with the whole thing. So
she was right too. I mean, Scoops is right. He needs to stay healthy. But so Andre Blake comfortably back between the pipes. Only 2 returning starters for the defensive core. Glesnes was I think he was left side, and Wagner was out wide on the left, and then it was a whole new right side for the defense with Oethu Makanya as the right side center defender, and Frankie Westfield getting an unexpected start at right back, because he was I say unexpected because he was brought up to the Union's main roster like the day before the game.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't even officially on. He has a union contract, but he wasn't on the official roster because of roster rules. And they had to move players around to bring him and another center defender, Neil Pierre, onto the main roster. So yeah, it was a surprising, not totally surprising, because I guess in preseason Carnell has been very high on both Westfield and Macania.
Because I know, because basically Westfield took
Mbizo's
position, because he comes in later in the game too.
He did. But that was not only a surprise start for Westfield, but it was his first start for the Union. I can't remember if it was. I think it was also Macania's first start. So yeah, a couple of debutants there on the back line in the season opener. I mean, they were away. It was kind of low, a little bit lower pressure on them. They could get their feet under them. And going through the rest of the lineup, then. Like you said, it was a 4-2-2-2.
As I heard someone say, there wasn't a diamond to be seen anywhere.
Right.
But we had two other unusual, another debutant and another unusual starter there at that base of those twos with what's his name, Jovan Lukic and Danley Jean-Jacques as the two pivot players there right ahead of the defense. And then out wide, it was interesting to see Gajdag and Sullivan kind of swapping out those spaces, mostly Gajdag on the right and Sullivan on the left. But I feel like they were given a free rein. They could move kind of wherever they felt they needed to be on the field.
Yeah, because I don't think of Gajdag as a wing player. I think he's in that center spot. But yeah, I agree. He was kind of, I guess he and Sullivan were kind of given free range to go where you need to go. Yeah.
And then Baribo and Ora were up top. Damiani, I guess, isn't quite ready to start, which is fine. Ora, it's the return of the triangle of death, as we were referring to the three of them last year. And now what are you referring it to as?
It's not a triangle anymore. It's now the trapezoid of death. But the good news is we can keep the acronym. The T.O.D. is still the T.O.D. It's just...
Thank God.
Just the geometry's a little different. So
we don't have to top out a letter.
Don't have to update any tattoos either.
No, God. Your tramp stamp is safe.
God. Oh, man.
I'm just going to leave that one.
It's very tasteful. It's very tasteful.
All right, let's talk about the first goal.
I suspect our listeners are like, no, let's talk about this tattoo. Yeah, so when this game started, I was
right there. I'm sorry.
It was well done. It was well done.
It was like an Aura poached goal. You had to just it was right there. You had to take it.
First time and all.
But when the game first started, I was having bad deja vu. It was just because Orlando scored first in the 8th minute, and they almost scored in the 40th second. I mean, they just crossed that ball right into the Union, into the box, and that ball just went wide. I don't know if Blake got a fingertip to it, but that just for me set the tone, at least for about the first 15 minutes. And I think, Chris, I remember saying to you, so after Orlando scored around the 8th minute, I was like, the Union just need to just weather this initial opening of the game, settle the game down, just get the game settled down. And
they totally look like they were finding their footing to me.
Yeah.
And expectedly so, right? Not a shock. But yeah, you were right, I think, about the settling it down.
But I didn't have to wait too long.
I was just trying, before we move on to the Union goal, I'm just trying to remember, what was the Orlando's goal, that first one? I know Pasalic, or whatever his name is, scored it.
It was a real wide shot. He was coming down on, like, kind of almost to the right of the goal, kind of approaching the goal line, like the back goal line, and it was just a very wide angled shot.
Okay. It's kind of sad I can't remember it, because it ended up not mattering. No, but I do know you got a brace as well. So, but okay, yeah, let's get on to the first Union goal. That was well worked. Attack up the right side, broke it back to, I guess it was Gajdag in the middle. Maybe
Was that Sullivan who started the cross in from the right? I can't remember.
I can't remember if it was Sullivan or Westfield.
No,
Up towards the
was it
closer to the end line.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, and then they cut it back. I want to say that it was to Gajdag outside the 18, maybe around 25 yards out. Don't know if he scuffed a shot or was trying to pass it. Baribo made a stab at the ball and ended up dribbling out to the left side. And you saw it as soon as Baribo made that stab at the ball and saw it keep going out to the left, he just turned and went straight at goal because he saw Kai coming down that left-hand side. And then Kai, just does a great job. I think it might have been his first touch on the ball, drive it back around the top of the 6-yard box. And interestingly, both Baribo and Oro were there. And when Baribo beat Oro to the ball, or Oro pulled up and let Baribo take the shot, and maybe he was in better position and just buried it past the keeper.
Yeah. Giving us one of our favorite rhyming scoring combination, the Kai tie.
If somebody hasn't made that drink, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, right.
What are we even doing?
Union Yards, you got to get on that. You got to make a Kai tie.
Absolutely. What minute was that goal scored? Like the 15th? 23rd? Yeah. No, I definitely feel like you were right, Christy. Like the Union needed to settle into the game, and then they kind of got a feel for it. But it was a pretty back and forth game. I mean,
yeah. No, so Orlando was dangerous. Yeah.
I mean, one of the things about a high pressing team and an active pressing team like the Union is if the other team can find a way to make the passes around the pressure and find a player in space, they can advance the ball up the field. That will happen. And the Union, I think, are still learning their pressing cues, as they call it. So they know, all right, if Oro's pushing up on the right defender, where does Baribo go? Where does Gajdag go? Where does Sullivan go to take away passing lanes? And they're still learning that. They're still getting used to it. But yeah, I do think it was a good back and forth game. It was definitely entertaining.
Yeah. And I think too, actually throughout this game, but even during the first half, Blake just had some amazing saves. I mean, these are as great of Blake saves as anything he's done in his career here. And, I know at the end of the game, the man of the match award and all that. But in my opinion, Blake should have gotten it just from all the gymnastics he was doing in net to keep our lead for the most part. But
yeah, he had a bunch of good saves, and every time he got up, I was watching closely. Are you okay?
To see if he was injured or
does he look like is he favoring a leg? Is he anything like that? But he seemed fine. So I mean, he's had some time to rest and hopefully stays healthy.
Can't find a breakdown of exactly how many shots were taken in the first half and the second half, but I heard a stat that there were 23, that Orlando had 23 shots.
Yeah.
And something like 13 of them, or some a really unusually high. It was like 8 or 13 or something like that. It was a really large number of them on frame.
Yeah.
And Blake had a lot of saves. And I think in the first half he had the one that was that was second half. I don't remember which, if there were any standout ones. The one that I do remember from the first half, it was an easy save because once again, Blake being the experienced goaltender, he was in the right place to make it look like it was easy, but he was off to the side of his net. And, a shot came in from just outside the 18-yard box and had some speed on it, but Blake made a nice, comfortable save because he knew where it needed to go.
Yeah. I think the ranking of goalkeepers in this game from best to worst, it's Blake first, Woodwork second, and then the Orlando keeper third.
Well, I mean, in that keeper's defense, he got bad real fast in the start of the second half.
Yeah.
Because Union came back on and
they start raining in those goals.
I think they scored 2 in 8 minutes.
Something like that. Right? Yeah. I mean, it was pretty much
the 48th minute and the 51st minute.
Yeah.
The next 2 goals.
So. Yeah. let's talk about that second goal. That was yeah. I know that was a turnover in midfield, and then ended up going out to Sullivan out wide on the left. And I mean, I saw the runners making their runs, but that cross from Sullivan was amazing. I still think it was probably 2 yards deeper than he meant it to go, because Gazdag got to it and there was not a lot of angle for him to shoot into, because he was really close. He was only probably about 2 yards from the end line. And first time volley, ball up around his chest, he just buries it past the goaltender. I mean, that was a really pretty cross, and I would argue an even better finish.
It was all in the air. I mean, the ball that he leapt up in the air and just flying tiger, hidden dragon, just that thing into the net. It was. You know what it reminded me of, and this is totally going to date me. I forget which version of FIFA we used to play, but the opening cinematic of all the various, big international stars at the time, one being Thierry Henry, were running around in this dark, coolly lit stadium and doing all these crazy things. But I still remember it was like each player would do something with the ball and send it out of frame, and it go to the next player. And I still remember it's like someone just sends the ball, and the next scene is Thierry Henry just jumping into the air. The ball's coming down, and he traps it in the air as he's coming down from the ground. I just remember that image just always sticks in my head, or has always stuck in my head. And that's actually what reminded me of Gazdag's goal. Just that, the ground is optional for the most part,
Yeah, I was thinking it looked more like Brazilian beach soccer, where the ball, there's no dribbling involved. It's all up in the air, and they're basically juggling it down the field. And but man, that cross was amazing. I mean, it was 40 yards in the air.
Yeah.
And then Gazdag finding some way to get it past the goalkeeper was beautiful.
Yeah.
And so that was two of the triangle of death that had their goals, but Ora was not to be denied, as in the 51st minute, a back pass in the Orlando box, at the top of the box off of a defender, and he just made a bad touch. And I was really impressed because Ora took no touches. I mean, it came off the defender, and Ora just pounced.
Yeah.
And I figured he was going to take at least one touch to dribble into the box, but he just fired it from 20 yards out and beat the goalkeeper down to the goalkeeper's right side. It was really well done.
Yeah.
And I mean, I knew that was a bit of a fluky thing that he even was able to get that, but I think that's interesting, because one thing that, if I had to say about last season, it seemed like there were times we were trying too hard to get things perfect, taking too many touches. And I mean, I know this is a bit of a one-off thing, but I was encouraged to see that. Hope that maybe there's some less hesitation this season. I mean, one incident I know doesn't make a whole philosophy, but here's hoping.
Yeah, no, it was nice, and it was definitely a sign of aggressive play from the Union and from Ora. Well taken, well struck, very satisfying. It's good to see the guys celebrating. But that wasn't it. But wait, there's more.
No, but it was funny how much. I mean, I know that was wasn't the keeper, that was a defender, but it did bring back shades of bless him, Chris Seitz from the first or second season, when he, I believe it was, I want to say it was Jaime Moreno.
It was, I still remember that.
That was brutal.
And
poor Chris Seitz went on to have quite a personal
Dallas.
I mean, made a lot of personal and professional contributions to soccer and just the world in general. If you know anything about him, he's a bone marrow donor and all kinds of things. So
he's a good one.
But no shade lingering on sites, but it was I guess maybe nice to be on the other side of it.
And
for those of us who remember the bad old days.
Right. For those who don't remember what Christy is talking about and that we're all painfully trying to forget, there was a game against DC United way back when. Seitz was playing keeper. He had the ball in his hands. All the players were retreating out of the box. Seitz didn't realize that Moreno was behind him between Seitz and the goal. Seitz rolls the ball on the ground and Moreno races around him, takes the ball and scores. It was
demoralizing.
Brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, Jaime Moreno, quite a player too. So,
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
you don't want to mess around with him on the field, but
it's one of the reasons now you make sure, as if you're teaching coaches, goalkeepers, look around, make sure no one's near you, and wait for them to get away.
Yeah.
Look both ways before rolling a ball in front of yourself.
Yeah, but Gajda or Aura there made all three of the triangle of death, got a goal, and but Bariba was not to be outdone.
Yeah,
as attack down the right hand side. What minute was that? Like 15 minutes later? No, 64th minute.
64th, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Frankie Westfield connected with I think it was Gajdag on the right hand side and moved the ball down the right. And Baribo just made a great run in the box, and Westfield put a low cross across, about the 8-yard space or so. And Baribo just makes a really nice deflected shot and buries it far side, far post. And man, 4-1 away.
I cannot believe it. I was just.
I think that's when I yelled, "What is happening?
What is happening? What is happening?"
Right around then, I was stunned because the day had a weird energy to it anyway, and I went into this, just with one of those vibes, like, okay, we're just gonna get through this. We're gonna get through it, and it's gonna be fine. And let's hope for a draw. Like that. It just been a strange day, and then when this started happening, I was like.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was fun seeing Carnell on the sidelines getting all pumped.
Yes.
So that was good to see, Yeah.
Well, small criticism, he does need to wear something that has a Union something on it. Because he did not. He looked nice. He looked good. He looked put together. He needs a little bit of Union on it.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Sport the colors a little bit.
Gotta hit the team store. A little something.
Mitchell and Ness needs to send them a care package.
Somebody.
There you go.
There's all those designers who do their collabs. Somebody's got to hook them up a little bit. So.
But yeah, it was good to see him excited on the sideline and cheering on the team. That was cool. Now it wasn't over because in the 79th minute, Pasalic, or however you pronounce that, did get a second goal. Yeah. And this comes back to what you were saying, E, with the Woodwork being the second best goalkeeper, as Orlando put a shot off the crossbar at some point, and then in this sequence of plays, I believe it went off a crossbar and an upright before Pasalic finally buried it. And I got to admit, at this point, I was a little frustrated that the defense didn't react better to this series and at least get a body in front of the goal.
Yeah.
But I mean, it almost didn't matter. Like I know Blake was going to get upset, and he's wearing the armband. He's supposed to, but I almost felt like Glasnow was like, dude, there's 11 minutes left, and they're not going to catch us. So.
The announcers sure sounded like they thought he could, but
yeah.
Oh, it's a whole new game. It's like, is it? Is it?
I mean, that was the 79th minute, and they're only down by 2.
There's time.
Yeah,
I mean, a 2-goal lead is the most dangerous lead in soccer, but when you are up 4-1 for a portion of the second half, it's I don't know that. Yeah. I do think it was interesting. I think Carnell made some adjustments after that in the lineup. There were some subs. I know Mbaizo did get on late in the game. Who else came in late in this one? There was
Bedoya came on.
See, Mbaizo came in the 88th. Glovinovic came in the 84th. Bedoya and Donovan came in in the 71st. So Aura and Baribo came off and they switched to a 4-2-3-1. And then Glavinovic came on for Gajdog. So they basically were parking the bus at the 84th minute. And then, Frankie Westfield with his, debut start, and he already had an assist. It was a wonderful game for him. They subbed him out for Mbaizo in the 88th minute. What stood out to you? Like, if you had to pick, were there any certain number of players that you were impressed by?
I mean, Blake impressed, but I mean, it wasn't. I wasn't surprised that I was impressed, right? Because it's Blake. So it was great to see that goalkeeping. Again, he should, in my opinion, he gets man of the match.
I would 100% agree with that. Let's dig into this a little bit because, like we've been saying, he makes the stops that you expect him to save, but there were at least 3 stops in this game.
At least 3.
There was one of them that was just inside or just outside the 18-yard box that the guy shot far corner or out opposite post, and Blake made a sprawling deflection just to get it over the end line. That was just beautiful. There were a couple of zero, point blank kind of shots that he was just there to make sure it didn't go anywhere. It looked like Blake was just on fire. And I agree with you. I think he was my man of the match for this one, in that, we had 4 goals, but if that hadn't been Blake, some of those might have ended up in the back of the net.
Arguably. Yeah. I mean, I'm not taking away from Baribo's brace 100%. I mean, the guy is just a score producing machine, right? We joke about he just has to maintain his 1 to 2 goals per game scoring average, and so far he's absolutely on track for it, and I hope he keeps going. But yeah, Blake is he's just amazing. I did like Westfield's hustle.
Yes.
You totally tell he was making the absolute most of his inaugural performance for the Union.
He reminded me of Sullivan at the end of last season. He was having fun. Now, it's easy to have fun when you're winning the game.
Right.
Yeah.
But he looked like he was out there playing a game and having a great time. Like, he had nothing to lose. There was no tomorrow for him. And, he was just playing to take all advantage of it that he could.
Everyone drink, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. Replacements reference there.
Twitching.
He just looked like he was having a great time doing things that he just figured, hey, let me see if I can make this work. And they worked. Yeah. Like the buildup that he got the assist on, he actually tried to cross it earlier, and there was a defensive stop to his first cross that he won back and then put a second low cross in. And that second one was the one that Baribo ended up burying. I agree. Frankly, Westfield really stepped up in this game.
Yeah.
The other one I would point out is the triangle of death. The front 3 that, just kind of reminding MLS that while the Union may have lost some good players, they also brought in some other players, and they managed to keep a trio that scored more than any other trio in MLS last year, if I remember the numbers right. Those 3 as attacking players on any one team working together, they scored more goals than anyone else in the MLS. I also heard a stat that like the last time all 3 of them scored in a game was September last year. That wasn't that long ago.
That's not that long ago.
I remember hearing this, and somebody was talking about, oh my gosh, like it made it sound like it's been that long. I'm like, that's not that long ago that all 3 players scored a goal in one game.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was really good to see them start off on the front foot like that.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I think more than one particular player, although, there were so many impressive pieces, I was actually impressed by Carnell as much as in the sense of that he and the rest of the coaching staff were able to, keep our, stars happy and performing, whatever that takes, but also to integrate these new players and figure out places to go with them. I mean, I know there'll still be a lot of changes and variations and things to come. That's not like this is the new thing, but it was as much as I'm still and will probably remain a Jim defender for a long time to come. It was nice to see him acquit himself so well and put together some new things. I think that is one thing I did finally have to admit to both myself and Eric while sitting on the couch was that it did start to feel like Jim did do the same thing a lot. Paul, you and I used to joke about like whatever minute it was, we knew that's when Jim would make his subs, that kind of thing.
Get your watch.
Yeah, exactly. So, I was impressed that at his role in pulling together this disparate team under him, who is a new coach, an unknown quantity, to some of these young people who didn't really play under Jim, so maybe it doesn't mean as much, but to the people who did and who had for a while to earn their respect on some level that quickly. It was interesting. I don't know if you guys happened to see they put up a quick clip of after the game and like
in the
his
locker room
speech. Yeah.
Yes.
And I thought he handled himself really well. I mean, it was a variation on what he said on Apple TV after the game, which was, they interviewed him, you're the new coach,
like this.
blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, we did well and this was good and we still have some things to work on and still trying some things, blah, blah, blah. But I think the thing that stuck out to me was they said, well, what do you take away from this win tonight?
What message
what are you sending? And he's like, we take away 3 points.
Yeah.
And we go on. That's it.
That was it.
And so it's like, we're not making a big deal out of this. We're not. And he said the same thing in the locker room to the guys, like, we got 3 points. We're going to have a great season. We're going to have fun. We can do better. Like, I didn't love that we gave up that second goal. It's in the end, it didn't mean anything. You still did really well. You were playing great, but that's dangerous. That's the kind of thing that can get us in trouble. We need to not do that, but we're going to celebrate. And he went around and congratulated all the guys who had their first starts.
Yep.
He congratulated Blake for his 300th start. Blake actually kind of stopped him and said, well, congratulations to you for your first start, which was cute. But, so he's got some level of respect with Andre, or he wouldn't have bothered to do that. That says something. So, I mean, I
also liked what he said that, this is a, first win, first game. It's a long season. We've got a long road ahead. So yeah, like you said, celebrate it. Congratulations on the win, but be ready because this is just the beginning.
Right. And the last thing he said was, let's get the music going, like, so, which is great. I mean, absolutely celebrate, but I just, I thought he acquitted himself really, really well. And it's funny all the memes that are out there now of people saying like, we're sorry we didn't believe in you.
It's way too early to say that.
Yeah,
it's way too early.
We joked at the beginning of this podcast about getting on the bandwagon. Those memes are going to change every
week, Paul.
We joke about getting on the bandwagon, but even we, yes, I was rose-colored glasses last week. But no, I did not expect this level of performance, and I was hoping for it. I know that it was possible, but it was good to see it on the field for sure. The last thing I was going to just point out as far as the play on the field was Lukic and Jean-Jacques. Good defensive midfielders. You don't need to talk about them. They just shut the other team down.
Yeah.
Like that's about the best thing you can say, unless they're Martinez and getting yellow cards and getting
insane goals.
Exactly. Which Martinez did score against Orlando, as Jillian reminded us last week. But Lukic just and Jean-Jacques just did a great job shielding that defensive back four. And they were solid. They didn't let things build up and didn't give a whole lot of dangerous play to Orlando. So good on them.
Yeah. Directing all that traffic out to the wings.
Yep. So great first game. Yay.
Yeah, I'll say this. Yes, 100%. We got a whole season to go. Yes, this is one game. We got the 3 points. Let's move forward. 100%. But it was a nice palate cleanser after this off season, after the end of last season, with all this, firing of curtain, players being traded, right? Elliott's gone, Flock is gone, right? All this upheaval, right? This kind of we're kind of in this whirlwind. Our heads, we didn't know what to expect. Sure, we may bottom out this coming weekend. Who knows?
Right.
But it was a nice balm for the soul just to kind of like, we've been just spinning for the past, 8 weeks, and to come in and just have this, decisive 4-2 victory away, not even at home.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay. I think we can start humoring the idea of the possibility of being optimistic. Anyway, and I'm not saying pessimistic is the opposite. It's just kind of like, okay, this is a good start. It's nice to have it.
Yep.
It's a little bit of sunlight coming through the clouds. So, all right, where are we going next?
Well, I guess there's some union news this week. Let's see. Well, a homegrown contract for Sal, I believe it's all of us.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know much about him. I kind of wish we'd asked Jillian and Kyle.
Yeah, our U2 experts.
Yeah,
contacts.
yeah. I did listen to the pregame press conference. It was cool to hear both from the coach Carnell as well as Quinn Sullivan.
Yeah, it's interesting. Sullivan was there, huh?
Yeah. I don't know if he's going to be there every week or if they're going to rotate players or if this was a one-off to start the season. It was really cool to get to hear from him. And, they said a lot of the kind of canned answers that you expected them to, but they said it kind of genuine, like you really believed them. Mm-hmm. So maybe they're not canned. Maybe they're giving 110% really means giving 110% in their heads. But no, it was really cool to hear from both of them. I hope that continues. Also, once again, kudos to the sound team for the union. They did a good job making sure they turned on the microphone for the questions and then switching back to the answers. So appreciate that for sure, especially for those of us who aren't able to attend that in person or even live while it's happening. So that was really cool. And then, biggest news.
Mm-hmm.
The Union acquire Indiana Vasilev from St. Louis City, which, wow.
Yeah, right.
I don't know if Ernst has some pictures of somebody or from somewhere, but that seems like a big trade, big somebody for St. Louis to give up.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, our sympathies to our cousins and friends, Mel and Jim, who've been on the pod, because this was their favorite player.
Mm-hmm.
So
there's room on the bus. Come on the bandwagon. Come on over.
I think it's gonna be hard to pull them away, but yeah.
They already moved to Chicago, I think.
Well, just gotta keep coming a a little bit more east, and you'll
still have their season tickets though. They're not giving those up.
Good for you guys. That's good.
But I can't stop thinking we named the dog Indiana.
We named the dog Indiana.
But yeah, I mean, according to Mel and Jim, not only a great player, but just seems like a genuinely good guy, which is always nice to hear. Always love to have a good personality joining the team. So I'm excited to see, I'm just thinking the Orlando game went really well. It'll be interesting to see when we have some of these new guys ready to play too, what will they bring? It feels like the bench is rather deep at this point. But it's hard to say. I know it's early days. It's just how it feels at the moment. So
I guess we're going to be playing him more as a forward. Is that kind of the idea? I mean,
he's a midfielder.
Oh, he's a midfielder. Okay,
he's versatile.
Okay.
But I believe he is a midfielder.
That makes more sense. That makes more sense.
I think it's interesting that he has played for U.S. youth national teams. He got a call up for a USMNT game at 24. And man, that stash.
Oh, that right there.
Just wow.
Some mustache that guy has. I think maybe that's what this team needed.
A good set of facial hair.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he's got a really nice groomed mustache. I'm not a big fan of facial hair, but if I could grow a mustache like that, I'd be tempted.
Yeah.
But yeah, he looks like a really, really good player. That he was expensive. They did send in total $1 million in GAM and up to $250,000 more in GAM. That could go back to St. Louis depending on performance metrics. But, that's the Union are already doing, I believe they are stated that they are doing the 2-4 DPs, meaning they're going with 2 any age designated players and 4 U22 designated players. And by doing that, they get an extra $1 million in GAM each year. So, this is kind of basically using some of that extra GAM that they would have gotten to get a proven performer in MLS and bringing him in and, fitting him on in this slot. So hopefully he'll come in, he'll get settled into the team and he'll compete for some of those spots. I'm with the 4-2-2-2. I'm not sure where he fits. I thought he was more of a box to box or attacking midfielder. Maybe he'll vie with Sullivan and Gazdag for those two, that middle set of 2. Or maybe you're right. Maybe he's gonna vie with Ora and Baribo and Damiani up top.
No, I think I could see him going in that midfield because I feel like we have the we have the tip of the spear. It's kind of, if we could have that middle piece, to connect, from, what did Carnell say at the beginning of the season, right? During his press conference, like the majority of goals, right?
60-30-10.
Exactly. And if we stick with this kind of, kind of a quick turnaround / counterattack, having that midfield to be the conduit to funnel those counterattacks as quickly. And I think, well, obviously this is obvious, accurately as possible. I think it could be an interesting strategy here. We'll see.
I'm excited by it though. That's for sure.
Yeah, and it doesn't hurt to have somebody who looks like they're in a Mumford and Son tribute band. So
I was thinking the Art of Manliness.
There you go.
That boxer guy with the
that's right. Give you what's for. Box your ears. Christy says, "I'm going to be quiet."
I have nothing. Nothing on this.
Other than the dog being named Indiana, she's got nothing.
I guess not.
I'm going to have that going through my head.
Which I actually understood that actually was Steven Spielberg's dog's name when he was growing up.
Was it Indiana? Oh.
Yeah, that was a nod to Spielberg.
That's
apparently. Cool. All right. So I think that covers all the news for the Union this week. At least that's been noted so far, it being only Tuesday. So there's still time for things to happen. We'll have to keep an ear out. But yeah, they're getting ready for their home opener this weekend
too. And this is going to be this will be an interesting test, I think, for Carnell and the team, because Cincinnati's going to be playing at Philly on Saturday. That's a team that's had our number for like at least the past, I don't know, year and a half. I feel like every time we went up against them, it's like, oh man, they're gonna punch holes through us and they're gonna pull out the win. And so, yeah, I think this will be a good challenge. Again, 3 points is only 3 points, 100%. And this game is only one game, absolutely. But it will be interesting to see how Philly, what Philly field against Cincinnati.
Yeah, it'll be a good early test to see if the Union can build on what they did in Orlando. I do wonder if there will be a pregame celebration for Blake hitting his 300 start. I would expect that there'll be a jersey with Blake 300 on it, and or maybe even 301. and that'll be fun to see for the fans, for those who can get out there and watch the game this weekend. Should be a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts about the upcoming game? Like, I'm not going to say predictions, but what do you?
I'll keep the rose-colored glasses
see?
on, and I'll go first so Christy can follow up and be the contrarian this week if she wants. But I think the Union are going to take it to them. I think they're going to keep building on what they did, and I do think that they'll probably try to get a little more solid defensively, playing at home. But I think I could see a Union victory here. Maybe even a 3-1 kind of a victory would be awesome. So long as they just keep playing and having fun. That seems to be when the Union play confident.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a breath of fresh air going through the team right now, whether it's the new people, new coach, or just new season. But I think this might be a bit more of a challenge for them. Not that Orlando was a pushover team by any means, but then again they'll be home, so maybe that will tip the balance in our favor a bit too. So I'm optimistic that they'll acquit themselves well. I would not be super surprised. I'm going to stick with sort of a draw as my but not that, again, not really wanting to do predictions, but if we do better than that, that's great. And I would like to say that I did do like a quick little poll on our Instagram last week to see how people were feeling. And we had about 57% of the people predict a draw, 29% predict a win, and 14% who admitted they were bitter predicting a loss. So I think we had quite a few, 57% of our listeners were surprised and happy people.
Good.
After that.
Nice.
So, but yeah.
What do you think, E?
So what do I want to see? Obviously, I want to see the win.
Sure.
I think I could see Carnell playing with the lineup a little bit. I kind of like this idea. I don't know if this will really pan out, but I do like this idea where he's going to be trying to remain somewhat unpredictable in what we field. Smart but unpredictable. I don't think we need to field a 6-1-1 or whatever, 8-1-1 or I'll be curious to see what if any of the new guys get starts, or if Bizo comes back in on that back wing or something.
Well, what do you think is going to happen?
What do you think is going to happen? I think we might win this. I feel weird to say that, and I don't really have a strong basis for it, but Orlando was not a walk in the park. I mean, we got to remember, these guys made it to the Eastern Conference Championship last year. They were one game away from going to MLS Cup. That says something. I mean, sure, stuff can happen in the offseason, but this was not like, I can't think of who finished at the bottom of the table, but
sorry, New England.
Yeah, it wasn't like New England. Yeah. And Cincinnati's they've been a perennial, powerhouse.
No, they haven't. Actually, they haven't been. They were the wooden spoon winner meaning the worst in the league for a while. But the last 3 years or so, they've been, like you said, a powerhouse.
So, but I feel like this is our home opener. This is Carnell's, debut at home. And I think that makes the game obviously that much more important to try to just get that win. But I'm going to say I'll be happy with at least a draw, but inside the whole game, I'm going to be hoping for that win.
I think if Carnell can find a way to keep them playing loose, because I remember last year, one of the problems it seemed like at home, they were afraid. They were afraid to lose when they played at home. And if they can just play unafraid, I think they play better.
Fear is the mind killer.
Drink. Dune reference.
All right. No, because that's a good point, Paul. Yeah. Well, with that logic, maybe it's important to just get a loss under your belt at home and just like, okay, we scratched the car. Let's move forward and not worry about scratching the car anymore. So we got that loss. Now we have to worry about losing at home. We can now just play without, fear shared is fear conquered, or what was it? That was another replacement reference.
Don't. We're veering dangerously close to the formula thing.
Yeah, I was going to actually reference, apparently Persian rug makers will routinely work a error into their rugs because they believe the only perfection can be achieved in heaven.
Yeah.
So they always just accept that there's an error in their rug and move on. That said, I don't think it's going to be a union loss. I think that they're going to play. I hope that they come out playing for Blake, playing for their home field advantage, and they do try to make it a fortress in Philly.
Exactly. Actually, that's the other thing. That's what I want to see. I want to see the return of Fortress Philly.
Right.
Win or lose, I want teams to be like, "Where are we playing this weekend?" Oh no, Philly. That's what I want.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see what the Union do this weekend. We're all excited for the home opener. For anybody able to make it out, have a great time. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet, please do. And if you're looking to lend a hand making this world a little bit better, please also check out the Union Foundation, PhiladelphiaUnionFoundation.org. That help support all of the good works that they do there. If you're also interested in reaching out and being a part of our conversation, please check out our website, amorephillyunion.com. You can email us at pod@amorephillyunion.com. You can find us on Instagram, YouTube, Threads, Bluesky, all at amorephillyunion. Please check out our Spotify playlist, a very eclectic set of music. Not sure exactly what we'll add this week, but I'm sure Christy will come up with some great ideas.
What did we add last week? Did we add something last week?
Shoot. Sorry. What was the chant?
Was that
Que Sera Sera?
Que Sera Sera. Okay, so it was Que Sera Sera for
you got to mention this.
Okay, so on Instagram, I found a version of Manchester United boys doing a soccer chant, Que Sera Sera. Whatever will be. We're going to Wembley, Que Sera Sera, which I enjoyed. And then, but online, I found on Spotify, I found a version by Los Moonlights, who I had never heard of, sung entirely in Spanish. And apparently this was just after we signed Bruno Damiani. This is a Uruguayan band from the 60s.
Oh, cool.
Who did a very cool version of it.
Yeah.
Entirely in Spanish.
Really cool.
And it's a much more upbeat than, it's a mid song, it's kind of upbeat, kind of. A lot of the covers tend to be more like those slowed down versions, like in, when they're showing car crashes in the background of modern movie trailers.
Man, I want to spend a day in the brain of Christy sometime.
Like Tarantino-esque.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah, be like, yeah. So,
where the main character goes on a rampage. It's all in slow motion.
Pretty much.
Mama Cass playing in the background.
I do think Que Sera Sera was used in Heathers pretty prominently. So it's kind of along those lines too. But yeah, this version was very fun. And I did not know until picking it and posting it that it was a Uruguayan band. Yeah. So that was just a fun little bit of serendipity.
Yeah, very fitting.
Yeah.
And if you want to get a glimpse into Christy's brain and whatever we might inspire,
tread lightly.
Come up with,
yeah,
please check out the Spotify playlist.
You can't unhear
Spotify playlist. Let's leave that.
You got it.
Extra L there.
Third time.
So also, make sure you get a copy of our podcast wherever you get your podcasts: Apple, Spotify, Amazon, TuneIn, etc.
Yeah, subscribe too while you're at it,
please. So thanks again for tuning in for another episode of Amore Philly Union. We're your hosts. I'm Paul.
I'm C.
And I'm E.
Go Union!
So you guys do know that Indiana Vasilov is named after Indiana Jones, right?
Is that
No,
really?
is he
that
really?
legit?
Yeah, his dad is a big fan of the movies.